Councilmember Cumbo, did you want to add something? Councilmember Laurie Cumbo?
I wanted to ask you very briefly, I know that we're in the midst of time constraints, but the real estate interests that were brought up in your testimony in terms of service to the boards, I wanted to ask, through the transparency process, were you able to see or to acquire or to learn if those real estate interests that are serving on the board are also contributing board members to the vitality of the library system? Or is that not clear to you at this time?
I would say nothing is clear to us at this time about the board.
Okay.
Here, I would like to say I know a few things about the NYPL and BPL board. Steve Schwartzman is CEO of the Blackstone Group. He's on the nominating committee of the NYPL. As CEO of the Blackstone Group, is invested in luxury condos and high-rises, but because it's a hedge fund, we're talking about concealed assets, so it's harder to take a look at these things. They're also invested in foreclosed homes. They're also invested in fracking. They're also invested in privatizing prisons. I would like to tell you that the best predictor of how many people go to prison is how many 10 and 11-year-olds can read and write. I think you have a conflict of interest if you're on the NYPL board and you're involved in real estate that involves luxury condos and high-rises, and they are also involved in the Donnell indirectly because of the Starwood and the companies that are building the luxury high-rise that's replacing Donnell Library as we speak. At the top of that library is going to be a $60 million penthouse apartment, and the pictures in the New York Times have a picture of a private library in that apartment. They will have more books, probably, than the library that they'll put in the basement. That's the blueprint for what we're talking about. And they're talking about digital. They have people on the board now that are involved in digital services. Hank Gutman, who was just appointed to the BPL Board of Trustees, is with Simpson Thacher. Simpson Thacher is the main law firm that has been servicing Blackstone since it began. We have the Durst organization on the board of directors. Shall I go on? We're talking about real estate people. We're talking about hedge funds. We're talking about people who are there to exploit, who will benefit. How we can prove that, I can't prove that directly, but it seems pretty obvious.
I think you bring up an excellent point in terms of the conflict of interest of these board members with the interests that they have in further development, and I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Yep, and I'll send you an email with more.
Excuse me,
Thank
could I
you.
just add one more thing?
Yes, sir.
The mayor and the council and the controller each have the opportunity to appoint a board member at the New York Public Library. In the past, those people who should be our watchdogs have gone along with whatever's gone on at that library. I urge you, since you do have one appointment in the control of the speaker, and you, I assume, have an opportunity to speak to the other leaders of our city, to make sure that this time there are 3 people appointed with a backbone, with a knowledge of the library, with an interest of representing our interests on those boards, to make and with the possibility of reporting back to us what's going on those boards when they're so often having meetings that are behind closed doors, in executive session, quietly taken care of. You all, that's in your power to speak to Speaker Mark Viverito, to ask the mayor, and to talk to the controller to make sure that we get representation on the NYPL board.
And on the
Thank
BPL
you.
board, the mayor and the borough president can both appoint 1/3 of the board of trustees. We don't understand why they have not exercised their right to appoint board of trustees. Instead, like I said, we have Hank Gutman being appointed. We have, people, somebody from Goldman Sachs has been appointed who's an expert in digital. Of course, if the way they're going is they're talking about digitizing everything, so then they're not going to need the library space, so then they can sell them off, create more real estate deals.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Cumbo. I just want to say that we are actually talking about our appointment process to the boards of organizations, myself and Speaker Mark Viverito and the entire council, so that process is currently unfolding.